So have you or a family member ever emigrated to another country? I'm thinking England to Australia. I know plenty of people that live here on the beautiful Sunshine Coast that have moved their whole families over from England. Well, today's video is about a woman who did that. She followed her family from England to Australia back in 1853. So Rachel Henning is the lady I was telling you about. I found a collection of her letters that she sent to her family. Rachel began writing letters the day that her brother and sister left England on the Great Britain. It was August 1853, and Rachel calls it that wretched day. Obviously, she's less than happy about her family moving away, and but she goes nonetheless down to the river to watch the Great Britain go out to sea and farewell her beloved brother Biddulph and her sister Annie. Please subscribe to the channel if you want to stay with me on this journey, getting to know Rachel and her family. We're going to look into the gossip and intimate revelations between Rachel and her loved ones as they seek their fortune in the far-flung land of Australia, and as she reflects on her feelings about moving and leaving England behind. In her letters, Rachel reflects on the challenges of pioneer life and in what is quite, crude society in New South Wales. I don't want to tell you too much now, but I hope you'll stay with me and listen to Rachel as she shares her feelings about their departure and her subsequent voyage herself to a few years later. Each episode I'll give you a little bit more context and background information. The picture will become clearer, but we can imagine for ourselves as we hear me read the letters. I'm sure we'll be able to pick up on the affection and the depth of their affection for one another through the letters of Rachel. I hope you enjoy the reading today, and as we get to know Rachel, Biddulph and Annie. August 12th, 1853. My dearest Annie, I was so rejoiced to see your handwriting again and to get the 2 letters from you and Biddulph. How kind it was of you to write twice to me before the ship sailed, in the midst of all the confusion there must have been on board. What a wretched day that Thursday was. After I had watched the steam tug you went by, out of sight, I came back to the pier, for I could not rest anywhere else while I knew the ship was still in the river. And I saw the last steamer with Mr. Bright and his friends and the mail go off, but they refused to let me go. After that I went up in the town shopping, but came down to the magnetic pier again in the afternoon, but the Great Britain had then gone down the river. So finding it was all over, I betook myself to our lodgings, where perhaps it was as well that I had my hands full of work till quite late at night. I do not know why I am writing you this long account of that miserable day. Before this reaches you, it will be one of the many black days we have to look back upon in our lives. It is already a past thing, and I suppose we shall not always have such a vivid remembrance of it as I have now. You left behind you your 2 teaspoons after all. I am so sorry I forgot them. Everything you or Biddulph have had or used seems valuable now. Certainly the way to be valued and missed is to go to Australia. I think I shall try it next year and see if it will arouse my friends to a due sense of my merits, but I'm sure nobody could miss me as I do you and darling Biddulph. Even here I am reminded of you by something every hour of the day. September 27th. I sleep in the room looking out on the garden, the same that we had when we were here together 6 years ago. Dear Annie, you cannot think how everything here puts me in mind of you and of the time when we were here together. All the walks here and the garden, and above all our room, where you used to read to me sometimes when we had taken refuge there from the numerous troublesome children. It is better supplied with drawers now than it was then, for I have a whole chest to myself instead of the one drawer we had between us. And the room is not a refuge now, for some of the girls are always there. However, I like them far better than we did then. There is more in parting than we thought when we used to talk so quietly about it. I only then thought of the actual loss of your company. You will say I valued it little enough when we were together, and I forgot the terrible feeling of regret with which one looks back to almost every incident of our lives. Regret that it is all past, and sorrow at the countless things I was wrong in. Things seem so pleasant when we look back upon them. September 29, Michaelmas Day, and the girls have been pestering Aunt to order a goose for dinner, and she replies, "My dears, the housekeeping is beyond all reason already," which I do not doubt, as no one ever looks after the servants, and from Priscilla's account, they ate butter enough last week to supply most families for a month. No doubt you will be favoured with geese on board ship, though I do not know where the sage and onions are to come from. We are just now sorely set with the second cousin of the Carrs, whom Uncle has inconsiderately asked here for a few days. He is rather a nice-looking young man and has just left Oxford, but he is either shy or stupid, or both, and most difficult to amuse. I don't try. He only came yesterday, and Uncle has just come up to announce that he stays till Saturday. Carrie is very fond of flirting, but it is no use, because he will not be flirted with. I need not tell you anything about Colchester life, because you have been here so lately. My principal employments are writing letters to a considerable extent, doing wool work, and reading Scott's Life. The woolwork consists of another square for Aunt's unhappy ottoman, which is not finished yet, and it was in progress when we were here 6 years ago. I found there was only one square wanted to complete it, as some lady had sent one so atrociously worked it could not be put in. So as I have not anything particular to do, I thought I would finish it for them. I got a very handsome single flower pattern at Spading's, a great tiger lily with its buds and leaves. It is to be grounded with white, and will, I think, look very well. They are reading Chiltern aloud, and though we read it at Backwell, I have forgotten the story, so it is very pleasant to work the square and be read to. I think our 4 squares are among the prettiest in the lot, and yours and mine the prettiest of these. I suppose you saw the piece they have put together. It looks very well. I suppose you hardly remember our reading Scott's Life at Dawlish, how Miss West used to read it in the evenings and dear Papa used to go to sleep. I remembered it as being very interesting, and it is so, one of the very few biographies which are readable. Some of it is like a romance, it is so amusing. We get very nice books from the castle library, but Uncle is very particular about what they read. Carrie got the Life of Salvatore Rosa, but was not allowed to finish it. We got a novel called Ruth by the author of Mary Barton, but we took the precaution of keeping it out of Uncle's way. They have a new piano here, a very pretty rosewood piccolo. I think Priscilla plays nicely, and they both sing well. There is a Miss Meadows here who sings beautifully. She is the daughter of a clergyman, whose father was Bracan, the great singer, but he changed his name to Meadows because he did not like the stage associations of Bracan. She is a very fat, vulgar-looking girl, but good-natured enough. I am helping Priscilla arrange her dried flowers, which are in a great mess. She does not know much about them. She brought down some which she brought from Cromer and left upstairs to dry, and they were all mildewed, and one of them, a sort of stone crop, so damp that it was actually growing little branches, shooting out at the joints of the stem. I hope the Great Britain will not be much behind her time, else I am afraid your supply of clothes will run short. I am glad you took one warm dress with you. As Biddulph says, it will be so cold during one part of the voyage. Also, his pilot's suit will come into requisition if you go as far south as the Shetland Isles are north. I hope all your things will reach their journey's end in safety, without any visitations of salt water. If they do, you will not want any new clothes for a long time. When I was at Adlington, Mr. Buxton gave me one of those printed muslins, the same that you had. I had only blue and pink to choose between, and I chose the blue. I shall not make it up till next year. It is too late for muslins now. I hope you will like your new bonnets, etc., when you unpack them. Do you remember that busy week in Liverpool? I hope to hear that you are with the James Tuckers. I am sure you will be more comfortable in Sydney than anywhere up the country till Biddulph has a farm of his own. If so, if you and Biddulph both settle in Australia, I shall certainly come out, unless you had rather I stayed at home. But believe me, my own dear Annie, your most affectionate sister, Rachel Henning.